Hello everyone and welcome to Barca News. It is March 26, 2023 and Xavi has requested from the club to make an effort to sign Ilkay Gundogan. Also, Ruben Neves is now considering other options besides coming to Barcelona, and Pierre Emerick Aubameyang is willing to come to Barcelona for free because he is crazy about returning. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, I would like to remind all of you that if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It's free, it only takes a second, and it would go a long way in helping this small and humble channel continue to grow. Also, if you have subscribed already, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping this community continue to grow and getting stronger by the day. Now finally, if you're looking to buy any kind of Barcelona jerseys or gear, make sure you hit the kit bag where they have the biggest selection from all the major football leagues around the world. The link is down below. And we'll begin with the news that Ousmane Dembele was seen today training at the Ciudad Esportiva despite all the players having a day off, and he was seen alone training on that pitch, which shows that absolute commitment that the French player has to recover from his injury and return to action. Now, Barcelona are currently not completely ruling out the return of Dembele for El Clasico match on April 5th in that second leg of the Copa del Rey semi-final. However, it is looking difficult that Dembele could be ready for that match because after all, he's the kind of player who heals much slower than your average player. But nonetheless, Barcelona are not completely ruling out Dembele's participation in that match. Now on to the news that Barcelona are planning a meeting with Alejandro Balde's agent Jorge Mendes in order to finalize the final details of his contract renewal. Now Balde's contract expires in the summer of 2024, and everything between him and the club have been agreed to in regards to his renewal, with Balde agreeing to extend his contract until 2027 with a €1 billion release clause. Now, despite everything being agreed to between the player and the club, Barcelona are still going to meet with his agent Jorge Mendes to finalize the smallest detail that are left to be negotiated. But nonetheless, there is absolutely no doubt that Alejandro Balde will remain with Barcelona at least until 2027. Now, in order for Barcelona to sign and stamp Alejandro Balde's contract renewal, they're of course going to have to reduce their wage bill by €200 million. And Balde is Barcelona's #1 priority for this summer, alongside the registration of the contracts of Xavi, Ronald Araujo, Sergio Roberto, and Marcos Alonso. Now, Barcelona are hoping to reduce the wage bill and finalize the registration of these contracts and the contract renewal of Alejandro Balde by July of this summer transfer market. Now, speaking of contract renewals, Sergio Busquets is yet to give his final decision to the club about whether he's going to be remaining at the club for one more season. Now, Busquets' contract expires at the end of the season, and he had his mind completely made up in regards to going to Inter Miami and the MLS. However, after Xavi had several conversations with him to try to convince him to extend his contract by one more season, it looks like Sergio Busquets is now seriously considering staying in Barcelona for one more season. Now, Barcelona have already made their official offer to Sergio Busquets for his contract renewal for one more season, with a contract that's a third of what he's currently earning. And even though Busquets was not too sure about accepting that much of a wage cut, he is considering staying in Barcelona, but he has yet to give his final decision to the club. Now, it seems that Sergio Busquets is now worried about ending his career in Barcelona because he wants to end it the best way possible. So he wants to make sure that he can play at the top of his level for one more season, because he doesn't want to stay for one more season and struggle on the field and having the fans remember those final moments with the club rather than remember him for the player that he was, which is the best pivot in the history of Barcelona and probably one of the best pivots in the history of football. Now, speaking of the pivot position, Barcelona were considering the signing of Ruben Neves from Wolverhampton. However, Xavi had frozen that operation because he's not quite convinced with the player's profile, despite the sporting committee being convinced on the signing of Ruben Neves, not only in the sporting wise, but also because he would have came at a low-cost signing. but Xavi nonetheless said no to this operation. Now, Ruben Neves has been waiting for Barcelona this whole time to see whether they are going to make a move and try to sign him, but the player is now realizing that Barcelona might not end up coming for him, so he has decided to start negotiations with other clubs. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't think Barcelona will sign Ruben Neves despite the sporting committee wanting to sign the Portuguese midfielder, because after all, Xavi has the final say on what players the club will sign. And since Xavi is not convinced with Ruben Neves, no matter how hard the sporting committee try or how much his agent Jorge Mendes tries to bring the player to Barcelona, I just don't think this will happen. So I think it's better that Ruben Neves continues negotiations with other clubs, because I highly doubt that he will end up at the Camp Nou come this summer. Now, speaking of midfielders, Xavi has reportedly asked Barcelona to make an effort to sign Ilkay Gundogan. Now, we've been talking about Gundogan for quite some time. His contract will expire with Manchester City at the end of the season. And even though he had multiple rounds with his current club in order to negotiate his contract renewal, these talks have gone nowhere. So it seems that Ilkay Gundogan will end up leaving the Premier League club. And both Manchester City and Pep Guardiola have given up on attempts to renew Gundogan's contract. And they're considered that the Turkish-German midfielder will end up leaving in this summer. Now, Gundogan would arrive in Barcelona as a free agent, and it's reportedly that he has informed Barcelona through his agent that he would be willing to reduce his salary to make this transfer happen. So, of course, this would be a perfect signing because he would come for free. He would not earn too much, and he's a player that Xavi is very much impressed with and wants to have on his squad. So therefore, Xavi has asked Barcelona to make an effort to sign Gundogan come this summer. Now, speaking of players arriving in Barcelona, it's reported that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has informed Barcelona that he would be willing to arrive as a free agent. Now, Aubameyang was seen celebrating in the Barcelona locker room after Barcelona defeated Real Madrid 2-1 at the Spotify Camp Nou. And there's a video of him where Gabi hugs him and tells him, "Auba, just stay already and don't leave." And this video gave a lot of speculation on what could happen and whether Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang could come back to Barcelona or not. Now, it seems like the Gabonese forward is crazy about returning to Barcelona, so much so that he is willing to force his way out of Chelsea so he can arrive to Barcelona as a free agent. And it's also reported that he has told Barcelona through his agent that he'd be willing to accept any salary that Barcelona could offer him, and he's also willing to accept any kind of role that the club would offer him as well. Now, if Barcelona cannot finalize the signing of one of their main targets, such as Vitor Roque, then they would consider signing Aubameyang. But as of now, Barcelona are not considering this move because Aubameyang is, after all, 32 years old, and Barcelona are right now thinking about the future and thinking about building a team with young players, and they already have Lewandowski, who is in his 30s, so bringing another striker as his substitute who's also in his 30s would not make sense, because at the end of the day, both players will end up retiring at the same time, leaving Barcelona with no center forwards. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.